So again, I hope you all are doing well. Today is senior seminar week 4. I would like to remind you that if you have any assignments that you have not completed, please let me know and please make sure to complete those assignments. So this week we're doing it a little bit differently. We are talking about professionalism 101, and we're going to be talking different types of professionalism. We're going to talk about different ways professionalism comes up. And we're going to just have an overall week talking about getting you prepped for a few steps within the college application process and also just like real life process. So for today, we are doing question of the day. We are going to do the scholarship list check-in. And Julie, I saw that you finished some of that. We had a student complete those. But if you have not done so, please make sure to complete those assignments at least by the end of this week. Then we're going to do professionalism presentation, talking about how to write an email, talking about what is a resume. And then the assignment for this week is going to be filling out a resume worksheet, and I will give you an example of that once we get there. So again, to start off, what is your dream pet? And this is if you could have any pet in the world, any animal. What is your dream pet?
I will say cat.
Cat? What kind of cat?
I don't like the black ones. The other ones, no.
Mm-hmm. So you would want a cat if you could have any animal ever. So yeah, you can have any animal. A shark. What kind of shark, Julia? Do you know? Again, if you can come off mute, that would be great. But if you'd rather type in the chat, I definitely understand. Any? Nah, there's got to be like a specific one, because you can actually own like real sharks, like little ones. Would you want a big one? And also, hold on. Would you want a big cat or a small cat?
Small cat.
Small cat. Okay. You want a big one? Okay. Okay. Yeah, big shark would be kind of cool. Training it to eat people you don't like. Hey, I mean, we'll see how that goes. Because how would you like bring it around if it's a huge shark? You would have it in like the pool.
I'd invite them over.
You invite them over and then have them like go in a pool or something.
I'm gonna shove them in the pool.
Oh, that's scary. But yeah, I always like to ask what your dream pet is, just because it's always interesting to see. If I can have a dream pet, I will probably have like an elephant. Like I feel like that would be kind of cool. I don't know where I will put the elephant, but I think elephants are dope. So now we're gonna do a quick scholarship assignment check-in. I'm going to exit the screen real quick. And I'm gonna go to our senior seminar folder.
Miss, I didn't even sign up. I was signing up.
You said what?
I was signing up the college board.
Yeah, so you need to just find the list of scholarships.
Okay.
Okay. So again, you can finish that by this week. The next few weeks aren't going to be too heavy on the assignments just because you have your final projects due. But I do want to just check in to see some of those scholarships that Julia posted. So we have just the scholarships on collegescholarships.org, National Honor Society, Speak Out Boston, the BU scholarship right there. I see UMass scholarships and UMass scholarships. So you got a good range in terms of, university ones and also private ones. We also have another student who does work asynchronously. She has a NEE scholarship. It's the No Essay Scholarship. And again, like I mentioned last week, you can do scholarships that don't have any essays. There's also some more scholarship stuff here. Become a Student Loan Hero Scholarship, and has a due date, so July 31st. So those are coming up pretty soon. If you want, you can actually look to see which scholarships are actually available to apply for pretty soon. Some of those will opening way early, even for just standard college seniors and transitioning transitioning high school seniors. So make sure to check those out. So now we're gonna do professionalism 101. So professionalism looks different in different settings. So it can be in person, it can be online, or it can be also on paper. Before we get started with what I'm going to say, I want to ask, like, what do you think professionalism in person looks like? And anyone can go. So what do you think professionalism in person looks like?
I think it's like I take professional classes, but I think it's like when you're doing your own stuff and you really like you do some like you focus on what you're doing.
Oops, sorry. I was on mute. But yeah, that was a good one. Hold on. Definitely like just making sure that you focus on what you're doing. Um, but Julia, what do you think professionalism in person looks like? Not sure, and that is absolutely okay. Kamaya, today we're talking about professionalism. So I wanted to ask, what do you think professionalism in person looks like?
I think professionalism has a lot to do with maturity, so and representation. So let's say like a job interview, the way you shake a person's hand, their tone, all that, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and those are definitely big pieces of just like in-person professionalism. And you mentioned some really good ones. So like a good handshake, and I know that can be hard, especially now with COVID, but just practicing a good handshake. Also like maturity, so making sure that you come off as someone who can take care of business, and you can probably hear my cat in the background because he wants food. But he already ate, so like he's being weird. Um, and then also just like being on time is something that's super focused on professionalism. But there's a few more things, and we'll see it when we move to the next slide. Online professionalism. So what do you think that looks like? And I think that can have many different faces, many different ways you can represent that. But how would you think professionalism online looks like? And this includes like social media. Yeah, anyone can answer. So what do you think professionalism online looks like? In being mindful of others? Yes, of course. Hold on, Kamaya, what do you think professionalism online looks like? Again, if you're on mute, I can't hear you. So make sure you're off mute if you're talking. Anybody else? And it's okay if you don't know, you can just say, I'm not sure. But what do you think professionalism online
Not
looks like?
sure.
Not sure? Okay. Kamaya, do you have any idea what professionalism online looks like?
Nah, I don't have any ideas.
Well, so since you might not have too much an idea, it actually comes up in many different ways. So first, social media, just making sure you have content that you want to share and you want to make sure that like employers will see and not run away. That's a big sign of it. And also like just making sure that if you do, want to share whatever social media stuff that you have, make sure that like your accounts are private. One thing that I do know about, certain jobs and certain universities is that they will do sometimes a social media check. So they'll have some time where they just look up your name online, see what pictures or see what things you posted. So just be mindful of like who has access to your profile online. Also, when you're using emails, making sure that they have proper email format, making sure you have capitalization, making sure that you have, the right email structure. And that's actually something that we're going to be working on later this week. And then also just making sure you're mindful of like how you represent yourself. And that can be in any format. So that can be in, again, emails, that can be in any social media stuff, that can be just like any online presence that you have. And then finally, professionalism on paper. So that really has to do with your resume, has to do with how you structure your resume, has to do with how you represent yourself within that resume, and also in your writing as well. So this next slide is, why does professionalism matter? So first, for maturity sake, so it allows you to be able to showcase professionalism early, and having that maturity can really represent to some people that you are a mature person. A lot of the times especially when you're, in high school and college, a lot of people might think you might not be as, as prepared to do a certain job or prepared to take a certain transition. But, being professional and showing that maturity allows them to have that confidence in, your abilities. And as much as that sucks to have to do that, sometimes it can really go a long way, especially when you're looking for, a certain job on campus or even a job once you graduate. It also allows you to stay prepared. So it allows you to be prepared for whatever comes your way. So whatever situations come, whether it be within a group setting, whether it be one-on-one with someone, whether it be in the job interview, or even just, having a workshop, making sure that it allows you to be prepared when those situations comes up, to be professional, to make sure that you're there on time, to make sure that you're there to handle business as well. And finally, it also helps you develop your skills on your own. So it helps you in your development as, a working person, as a working student. Professionalism matters in terms of being in a classroom, in terms of being, on the train, in terms of being online. So it really allows you to develop those skills, and allows you to, continue to improve as you progress in your life. Any questions about, why professionalism matters, or do you want to add anything about why you think professionalism matters? And again, you can type into the chat or you can unmute yourself. But yeah, is there anything that you think about why professionalism matters besides, maturity, being prepared, and also development? And again, you can unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. Anything else you would like to add? Maya, any tips about being professional?
You said tips about being professional.
Yes.
Oh, one of them's up there for maturity. Confidence. What else? Basically, the way you come off. So check your attitude, your aggression. Try to come off polite. And what is it? I'm trying to figure out. Basically, welcoming.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think Gabriel brought up a good point when we had the activity or one of the morning teas. Don't try to diminish your personality for being professional, but instead just be yourself. And instead make sure that like you're always being true and authentically yourself, but also be mindful of like who is around, and what kind of impression you want to give off. Like we don't want to try to diminish any of your identity. We don't want to try to diminish any part of just like who you are as a person. But again, being professional doesn't mean you're diminishing. It just means you're like commanding the space in a specific way. So think about it that way. Like whenever people say be professional, it means act a certain way. Like you might think act a certain way or do a certain thing, but you want to make sure that you just want to be you and make sure that you're being authentically you, even when you're doing job interviews and you're meeting someone for the first time. So this next piece is we're going to talk about just how to write an email. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you, 3, in writing an email? Like 1 being like, no, I'm really bad at it. 10 being like, oh, I could send one right now and it would be perfect. How confident are you about writing an email on a scale of 1 to 10? Anybody got an answer? Scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you about writing emails? And you can unmute yourself or you can put your answer in the chat. Scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you about writing emails? No one's gonna give me an answer? Oh nah, that's crazy. Oh, we have a guest. How? Anyone want to answer? I'm gonna take your silence as not very confident. But usually this is the way that I think about going. This is the way that I go about thinking about writing emails. Always start with a greeting. So whether it be hello, good morning, good afternoon, it could be something even simple as hi. And you always just want to start with a greeting. Make sure that you're able to just say, hey, I'm acknowledging you. Thank you for getting back to me. And just always starting with the greeting. The next is just make sure to check punctuation and grammar. So making sure that you go back, check what the spelling looks like, check what if you have any commas missing, any periods missing, and then always sign off with your name. Make sure to write your name. Make sure to write some kind of acknowledgement saying bye. Like I usually use the word best, or you can say kind regards. You can say regards. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But then also the final thing is just avoid text language. As much as we use our phones to communicate, and as much as we use text message to communicate, making sure you don't use text messages when you're using emails is super important. Just because not everyone is going to react as positively as someone on the upper bound team. Someone might take that as you're being immature. Some might even take it as you don't know how to like type. But of course, shortening it through text is a real easy way to communicate. But make sure in emails everything's got to be spelled out. Everything's got to be clear. So I have an example here. It says, hello, Mr. Sarah, would you be able to send me the link to the assignment for week 1? I cannot find it in my email. Thank you. And it can be something as simple as that. So always have the header, again, have a greeting, make sure the punctuation, make sure the grammar is correct. And also make sure that you're saying what you want or what you're looking for within the email. Sometimes people just like say a lot of information without getting to the main details, but the more brief and the more concise you can be, the better. So next, we're gonna go over a little bit of resumes. So a resume is just like a brag sheet. Your school is gonna require you to possibly to create a brag sheet, and it allows you to showcase what you have done, where you go to school, and what you are good at. And then also a big tip that comes up is you should always try to update your resume whenever you get a new job or a new experience, or even a new award or certification. Um, one thing about resumes that as you start building it, it's not going to be as long as you may want it, but adding as much information as you can really help in any kind of job process. And it can actually really help when it comes to creating a brag sheet for your teachers to fill out, for your recommenders to fill out, and that's actually going to be part of the assignment that we're doing tomorrow. So I'm going to show you a resume example, and let me pull it up over here. So if you go to the week 4 folder, so I'm going to go to week 3, maybe week 4. If you go to the week 4 folder, we actually have an example of a student resume, and you can actually use this as a template if you would like. So the way that it usually works is you have your name, which is the first thing that people are reading when it comes to your resume. You have your street, so this one is 123 Main Street, Hometown, USA. You want to have your phone number, and I'll actually edit this to just say, so you want the letter P and the email E. And that's usually how the header works. If you would like, you can also move the hometown up here. You can move the phone number, email to the same line. It's all up to you. But then you always want to start off with your education, at least in this time. Some people might say start off with work experience, but as you get a little bit older, you might want to switch it. But for now, I always recommend starting off with your education. You give your high school name, you give the locations, and then you do the dates attended. Another thing that's super important about resumes is that you want to make sure that the dates, whenever you write them out, it's consistent down the list. So if you are writing, let me give an example. If you are writing March 2018 through June through August or May, whatever, May 2021, you want to make sure that every other line follows this pattern, right? So it's going to say a month, and then it's going to say the year. It's going to say month and then the year. Or you could also do it like 07, or I'll just keep it March 03, 2020, 2018 through May 05, 2021. Does that make sense? Give me a yes or no. Does that, like, the consistency make sense there? Thank you, Julie. So yeah, make sure it's consistent when it comes to the date. And then also, as you move down, as you can see, you have extracurricular activities, you have work experience, you have skills, honors, and interests. And you can also say, for here, you can say any special skills. What you should always do is say Microsoft Office. So that means, using Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, say things like that. You can also say, like, if you speak any other languages, so like another language. You can also say, clubs and organizations. And again, you want to make sure that you have the location, the role, position, description of activity. And then at the end, it has a little piece here. Oh, sorry, hold up. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. But yeah, at the end, you want to just add whatever information that you can about any interesting skills on this. Just a question? Do any of you have a set resume in Kamaya? If you don't have one, that is okay. But do any of you have like a resume template already? Like, and you could just say yes or no. Think you do? Okay, that's good. That's good. Kamaya, do you have a resume that you use regularly?
Yeah,
Do you feel good about it?
most definitely.
Do you update it often?
Absolutely.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah, I also have a resume that I used to get this job. And it's constantly changing, it's constantly shifting, making sure you add different pieces. And then another tip that I have when it comes to resumes is that whenever you apply for a job or whenever you apply for a specific position, make sure to add some of those details into whatever the details from the job description into like whatever experience you have. So like if you're applying to be, if you work like at a corner store or something and you're applying for convenience, you can literally say like, oh, I did this management thing when I worked at this convenience store. But yeah, just make sure your experience connects with what you're applying for. And then we'll go back to the presentation. So that's a little resume example. And again, if you go into the week 4 folder, it should be right on that first page. And now we're gonna take about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes so that you guys can work on your resume worksheet. So this is not necessarily a resume itself. It's just a worksheet that I created or that I updated to make sure that you can have the information added into your resume and also into your brag sheet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the link and I want you to create a copy of it into the assignment 1 folder. And what you will do is just put in as much information as you can within these next 15 minutes. And just to see what stuff you need. If you already have a resume, I recommend using this anyway, just because you can figure out what more information you can add. But yeah, so we're gonna take the next about 15 minutes just to work on this piece right here. I'm gonna stop my screen share and I'm also going to pause the recording. So with that, with this final assignment, we want to continue to work on using resume worksheet and put your information in it. Then again, if you ever have any questions, please make sure to reach out to me, either phone, email, or using the Calendly link. When we move forward, we're going to be doing resume and recommendations in the assignment for tomorrow is actually going to be thinking about which teachers to pick for those recommendations and talk about that a little bit more soon. So does anyone have any questions or anyone have any comments about emails, about the resume worksheet, or anything at all? If you don't, that's okay. Any questions? If not, I will let you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us for this new day. And I will see you all very soon.